The Vilnari fleet moved slowly through the quiet darkness of space. Their ships were old and damaged, and their engines made weak sounds that echoed through the empty halls. Every light inside the ships felt too dim, and every corridor felt too cold. The Vilnari were a gentle people, thin and soft-skinned, with calm voices and shy movements. They never wanted conflict with anyone. They never wanted to fight. Yet now they drifted alone, cast out by every world they had ever trusted for many months. They had searched for a place to rest, but no one welcomed them. Every time a Vilnari ship sent a message to a nearby planet asking for help, the answer was always the same. No, leave, go away. The galaxy did not want them anymore. The Vilnari had been blamed for a terrible disaster that destroyed a Dominion colony station. Even though they tried to explain that they had nothing to do with it, no one listened. Rumors spread faster than truth, and soon every major power turned them away. Inside the lead ship, the Vilnari Council sat together in a small room. The walls were scratched, and the floor vibrated with the weak hum of the engines. Council Elder Scylla looked tired. Her silver eyes showed fear, but she tried to stay calm for the others. She spoke in a soft voice, telling them how little food and water remained. They all knew they could not survive much longer. They needed help from someone, anyone. Across the table sat a young Vilnari scout named Haru. He looked nervous as he studied the scanner in his hands. With slow breath, he explained that he had picked up a strange signal from a distant world. The signal was simple and repeating. It came from a species the Vilnari had never spoken to before. The signal used a strange language, but it sounded almost welcoming. Haru believed it came from a place called Earth. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Earth was known in the galaxy, but not well understood. Stories said humans came from a harsh world, a world full of dangers, storms, and strong creatures. Some called Earth a near-death world. Some said humans were strange and unpredictable. Some believed humans were frightening. The council feared making contact with such beings. But the Vilnari had no other choice. Elder Scylla asked Haru to play the signal again. The room filled with the soft human transmission. The Vilnari listened carefully. Even though they could not understand the words, the tone felt honest. It sounded like an invitation, not a threat, after a long silence. Elder Scylla said that this might be their last hope. She told the council that they must try. They must send a message to Earth and ask for help. The others agreed, although fear still sat in their hearts. They began preparing the transmission. Far away, on the edge of the solar system, a human outpost detected the incoming signal. Inside the communications center, officers studied the strange message from the Vilnari fleet. When the report reached Commander Evan Carter, he paused in surprise. He had seen many things during his years in service, but a refugee fleet seeking safety on humanity's doorstep was not something he expected. Evan was a calm, steady man with sharp eyes and a thoughtful way of speaking. He knew that humanity had only recently begun joining the wider galaxy. Humans were new to interstellar politics. Still, he believed in the idea that Earth should try to help others whenever possible. He felt a strong sense of duty when he saw the Vilnari message. He gathered his officers to discuss the situation. Some of them supported sending aid right away. Others warned that taking in a species rejected by every other power could cause trouble. They feared the Dominion and other groups might blame Earth next. They feared war, but Evan reminded them that fear could not guide every decision. He said humanity must choose who they want to be, not who others force them to be. He asked for a balanced plan, send help, but stay cautious. Scientist Laura Bennett was invited to the meeting. She was gentle, patient, and known for her work on interspecies communication. When she heard that the refugees were Vilnari, her eyes widened. She had read old reports about the Vilnari and always believed they were not the violent or dangerous people the rumors claimed. She argued strongly that they deserved a chance to explain their side. She believed humanity needed to show kindness, especially when others refused. Evan agreed. He ordered the outpost to prepare a landing area on one of the smaller stations, near the edge of the system. He also called for medical teams, translators, and cultural advisors. Laura volunteered to join the welcoming group. She felt a deep responsibility to make sure the first contact went smoothly. After several hours, the Vilnari fleet finally received Earth's response. It was a simple message, spoken slowly so the translators could understand. The voice introduced itself as Commander Evan Carter and welcomed the Vilnari to approach safely. The message said humans wished to help. It said there would be food, water, and medical care ready when they arrived. The Vilnari were shocked. No one else had ever spoken to them with kindness since the disaster. Some cried quietly in relief. Others still trembled with fear, unsure if the humans were truly sincere. But the council agreed that they must go forward. The fleet changed course toward Earth's station. As the Vilnari ships approached, humans prepared nervously. Soldiers checked their gear, engineers checked the landing systems, and doctors set up clean stations with medical supplies. Laura reviewed Vilnari physiology reports to avoid hurting or scaring them. Evan practiced his greeting words again and again. He wanted to appear calm and respectful. When the first Vilnari ship docked, the airlock opened slowly with a soft hiss. Everyone on the human side stood quiet, waiting. The Vilnari stepped out one by one, moving carefully as if expecting danger. Their bodies were thin, their eyes gentle, and their skin seemed almost translucent under the bright lights. Some walked with difficulty because of hunger and exhaustion. Evan stepped forward and greeted them with a warm smile. He spoke slowly and softly, saying that they were safe and welcome. Laura followed beside him, offering a friendly wave and gentle expression. The Vilnari looked surprised. They whispered among themselves, not believing humans could be so calm and gentle. A Vilnari representative named Selin approached Evan. With a trembling voice, Selin thanked humanity for allowing them to land. He said they had been turned away by everyone else and did not expect kindness from a world they had never met. Evan listened carefully and told him that Earth did not judge them for what others claimed. He said humans preferred to learn the truth themselves. Laura stepped forward and offered small containers of clean water. When the Vilnari touched the warm surface of the containers, they showed clear relief. Some even cried softly as they drank. The human medical team gently guided them toward examination rooms to check their health. Everything was done slowly and politely so the Vilnari would not feel afraid. As the hours passed, humans helped unload weak Vilnari from the ships. They offered blankets, soft lights, and quiet rooms to rest. Many Vilnari slept for the first time in days. Laura moved among them, speaking in a gentle voice and explaining human customs with simple words. Some human officers watched from a distance. A few whispered doubts. They wondered if helping the Vilnari was risky. They worried that powerful alien governments might punish Earth. But when they saw how fragile and peaceful the Vilnari truly were, even the doubtful officers felt their fear weaken. Evan stood in the middle of the landing area, observing the scene with steady eyes. He felt something deep inside him shift. He realized humanity had just made its first independent choice in the galaxy. They chose compassion, even when it carried risk. Later that night, the Vilnari Council met with Evan and Laura. They told the humans the full story of their exile. They explained how they tried to warn the Dominion about strange events near the colony station. Before the disaster, they explained how they were blamed without proof and hunted by those who believed the rumors. Laura listened closely, taking careful notes. She promised to search for evidence to help clear their name. Evan reassured them that they were safe here for as long as needed. He said Earth would not turn them away. Selin bowed his head and said that humans were the only ones who showed them kindness. He said the Vilnari would never forget it. As the meeting ended, both humans and Vilnari felt a quiet hope growing inside them. The galaxy had cast the Vilnari out, but Earth had opened its doors to very different species, both uncertain of the future, had begun to build something new together. If you want, I can now write Part 2 in the same style and word count. Part 2 is written in simple and basic English, third person, without headings, and without asterisks. It continues the story from Part 1 and is approximately 1,400 words. The Vilnari had been on Earth for a few days. During that time, they slowly learned to trust the humans around them. Small routines formed. Humans showed them how to eat safely with earth utensils, how to use the showers, and where to rest without fear. Many Vilnari were shy and hesitant, often looking over their shoulders or whispering to each other. Yet, as they saw that humans did not harm them, their fear began to fade. Laura Bennett spent most of her time with the younger Vilnari. She taught them simple words in human language and learned basic Vilnari phrases in return. A young Vilnari girl named Lionel quickly became her student. Lionel was curious and asked many questions, sometimes repeating words she heard humans say just to hear their sounds. She laughed easily, a sound so rare in Vilnari children that even her elders smiled quietly at the side. At the same time, Commander Evan Carter worked with human officers to plan the fleet patrols. Near the edge of the system, they could not assume that every alien power would be pleased that Earth had taken in the Vilnari. Evan instructed the officers to maintain a careful balance, show strength when needed, but avoid provoking other governments. He also told them to stay alert, as the Vilnari were fragile and could not withstand a full-scale conflict. Some officers whispered doubts. Lieutenant Rachel Morgan said, "What if the Dominion comes for them?" Another officer, Daniel Harris, replied, "We will have to fight if they do. They are safe here now, and we cannot abandon them." Evan listened quietly, knowing both fears were real, but he believed that choosing kindness was more important than avoiding all danger. One morning, Laura and Lionel walked through a small garden built inside the station. The Vilnari had never seen plants like these before. Lionel touched the leaves gently, then looked at Laura. "Humans grow these?" she asked in her soft voice. Laura nodded. "Yes, we grow them for food and for beauty. We like to live with nature around us." Lionel smiled, a small bright light in her pale face. She ran her hands through the soil and laughed as dirt fell through her fingers. While the Vilnari slowly adapted, a small communication team received an urgent transmission. A nearby Dominion scout ship had detected unusual activity near the Vilnari fleet. The scout did not know the Vilnari were safe, but it sent a report warning the Dominion that the exiled species was near human space. The message made its way to Dominion Command, and soon the High Council began discussions about the VELNARI back on the station. The Vilnari gathered in a central hall. They spoke among themselves in low tones. Selen, the council representative, expressed worry. "We have been turned away by all others," he said softly. "Even humans may not be safe if the Dominion decides to act." The others nodded, fear filling their eyes. Yet some felt a new sense of hope. For the first time in many months, they were not alone. After the council meeting, Evan and Laura invited the Vilnari to a small dinner in the mess hall. Humans and Vilnari sat together, eating carefully prepared food suitable for both species. Laughter rose slowly as Vilnari tasted new flavors. Some hesitated, but the humans encouraged them gently. Laura explained each dish, and Lionel eagerly asked about everything. The scene was unusual. Species that had never met sharing a table, smiling, and talking quietly. During the meal, a human communications officer, a young man named Aaron Brooks, approached Lionel. He spoke softly, not wanting to startle her. "Do you like Earth?" he asked. Lionel tilted her head and nodded. "It is strange, but kind," she replied. Aaron smiled. He had worked with aliens before, but none were as gentle and curious as Lionel. He offered to show her parts of the station where she could explore safely. Lionel's eyes lit up with excitement. She grabbed a small map Laura had drawn and said, "Can we go there now?" Aaron laughed and agreed. While humans and Vilnari began to form friendships. News from the Dominion caused tension. Reports indicated that some Dominion leaders believed the Vilnari were guilty of the colony disaster. Even though the evidence was old and unclear, fear and anger ran deep. The council debated whether to demand the Vilnari be returned to them. Some argued that the humans were too weak to resist Dominion pressure. Others warned that acting without proof could harm many innocent lives. Evan received the news in his office. He stared at the messages, then at the star map showing the position of the Vilnari fleet. He knew a confrontation might come, but he refused to panic. He called a meeting with Laura, his top officers, and a few trusted diplomats. He said that Earth must remain calm and steady. "We cannot give up the Vilnari," he told them. "We will defend them, but we will also try to prevent conflict. We will stand for what is right, not what is easy." Everyone in the room nodded, understanding the weight of the decision. In the following days, the Vilnari began to learn more about human culture. Laura taught them music using simple instruments. Lionel quickly discovered she had a natural talent for rhythm. She banged gently on a drum, and humans clapped along, laughing at the joy in her movements. Even Elder Scyllin, who rarely smiled, watched quietly and felt warmth she had not experienced in a long time. Some human officers continued training with the Vilnari for safety reasons. They taught them how to operate basic communication devices, how to understand simple human warnings, and how to move safely in the station. It was slow work, but the Vilnari listened carefully. They were eager to learn, especially because they wanted to repay the kindness humans had shown them. One night, Laura and Aaron walked together with Lionel near the observation deck. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and distant. Lionel pointed to a bright star and asked, "Will we always be safe here?" Laura knelt beside her and smiled softly. "We will do everything we can. Humans believe in helping those who cannot protect themselves." "You are safe now." Lionel nodded, her small face filled with trust. As the days passed, humans and Vilnari began to share stories of their pasts. Vilnari spoke of their quiet worlds, their peaceful cities, and the sudden disaster that had destroyed everything. Humans shared stories of survival on Earth, of harsh storms, strong predators, and the lessons learned from living on a difficult world. In each story, the Vilnari noticed a common theme: resilience. Humans had survived great danger, and now they offer the same to Vilnari. The Vilnari began to understand why Earthlings were so strong and yet so compassionate. Suddenly, an alert rang through the station. A human officer checked the sensors and reported that a small Dominion patrol was approaching the system. It was not a full fleet, but it was enough to make humans nervous. Evan called a quick meeting. He told his officers that they must stay alert, but not provoke the Dominion unnecessarily. The priority was the safety of the Vilnari. Laura gathered the Vilnari and explained that some aliens might come to question them. She said they must remain calm and follow human instructions. Selen and the council members listened carefully. Fear was still present, but it was mingled with trust. They had seen that humans would protect them. Over the next few hours, the Dominion patrol appeared at the edge of the system. The ships were large and dark, their design sharp and aggressive. The human fleet moved into position between the patrol and the Vilnari settlement. Evan gave calm orders, and humans took defensive positions. The Vilnari watched silently, uncertain but trusting that the humans knew what to do. Communications were sent to the Dominion. Evan's voice, calm and firm, explained that the Vilnari were under human protection and that any aggressive action would be met with defense. The Dominion responded with threats, demanding the Vilnari be surrendered. Evan refused. He reminded them that the Vilnari were innocent and that humans would not abandon them. The standoff lasted for hours. Tensions were high, but neither side fired. The Vilnari stayed in the settlement, watching silently, and slowly they began to understand the depth of human determination. These humans, fragile by galaxy standards, would fight to protect the helpless. It was something the Vilnari had never seen before. As night fell, the Dominion ships slowly withdrew. Evan allowed the fleet to relax slightly, but orders remained to stay alert. The Vilnari Council met again and thanked humanity for their courage. Selen spoke softly, saying, "You are the only ones who stood with us when all others turned away. We will never forget this." Laura smiled and nodded. She understood the words were more than gratitude, they were the beginning of trust and friendship. The next morning, humans and Vilnari began rebuilding small projects together. Gardens were expanded, living spaces improved, and new communication rooms built. Lionel ran between humans and Vilnari, carrying small tools and learning quickly. Her laughter filled the air, and even Elder Scyllin found herself smiling more than she had in months. The Vilnari began to see that perhaps Earth was not just a temporary refuge, but a place where they could truly start again, with the immediate danger past. Humans and Vilnari began to plan for the future. Evan and Laura discussed long-term integration, education for young Vilnari, and building alliances carefully with neighboring species. The Vilnari began to feel a sense of hope that had been absent for a long time. They were no longer alone. Part 3 continues the story in simple and basic English, third person, without headings, and is approximately 1,400 words. A few weeks passed, and the Vilnari began to adjust to life with humans. They learned the rhythm of the station, the patterns of human speech, and the small routines that made life easier. Lionel, the young Vilnari girl, grew more confident each day. She walked through halls without hesitation and laughed easily at small jokes from humans. Elder Scylan watched her with a quiet pride, though she still worried about the wider galaxy and what dangers might come. One morning, Laura Bennett discovered strange signals on the outer sensors. They did not match any known human or Vilnari technology. She called Evan to the observation deck. Together, they examined the data. Laura explained that these signals seemed to be coming from deep space, and they suggested a possible pursuit. The Vilnari fleet might be followed, even if no immediate threat was visible. Evan frowned, knowing that the Dominion and other alien powers had eyes everywhere. He instructed his officers to monitor communications carefully, but not to alarm the Vilnari until they had more information. He also increased patrols near the station, ensuring that the fleet and settlement were well guarded. Meanwhile, Lionel and Aaron Brooks explored new sections of the station. They discovered a small library of Earth literature and technology manuals. Lionel's eyes widened as she leafed through books about Earth's history, human struggles, and stories of courage. She asked Aaron to read aloud, and they spent hours learning together. Through these lessons, Lionel began to understand humans in a new way, brave, unpredictable, but honest. Suddenly, a human officer reported unusual activity in a distant sector. Dominion ships were gathering, and messages suggested they were debating how to handle the Vilnari situation. Some Dominion leaders still insisted that the Vilnari were guilty of the colony disaster. Others hesitated, concerned that humans might react strongly if provoked. The Council of Dominion ships was divided, and the decision was unclear. Evan convened a meeting with his top officers. He knew that conflict was possible, but he wanted to delay it if possible. He said that the Vilnari must remain protected and calm, and that humans should try to avoid unnecessary violence. The officers agreed, but everyone understood the tension that hung over the system. During this time, Vilnari began sharing more of their culture with humans. They showed patterns of art, quiet music, and peaceful rituals. Humans listened, observed, and even participated. Laura encouraged this exchange, believing that the more the species understood each other, the stronger the bond would grow. Lionel proudly showed off her small musical performance to a human audience, clapping along and smiling. One day, Scylan called Laura and Evan to the council chamber. He spoke carefully. "We fear that our past has followed us," he said. "Some powers will not accept our safety here. They may come for us again." Evan nodded. "We will not allow that. Your safety is our responsibility," Laura added. "We will gather evidence, prove your innocence, and prepare for any threat." Scylan looked relieved. Trust had grown, but fear never fully disappeared. While preparations continued, the Vilnari children explored more freely. They learned simple Earth games, tried human food, and practiced language. Lionel laughed when she discovered a game called tag. She ran through corridors, followed by human children, their laughter echoing in the halls. Elder Scylan observed quietly, her heart warming at the sight of happiness that had been missing for months. The Dominion fleet finally moved closer. Scouts reported that they intended to confront the Vilnari directly. Evan readied his ships, careful to defend without escalating unnecessarily. Humans trained with Vilnari volunteers, teaching them how to move safely, communicate clearly, and understand basic emergency protocols. The Vilnari were nervous, but eager to help. As the Dominion patrol arrived, Evan issued calm orders. The human fleet moved into formation, protecting the Vilnari settlement. Laura monitored communications, hoping to prevent misunderstanding. Scylan gathered the Vilnari council and reassured them. "Do not fear. Humans will defend us. We are not alone." Many Vilnari nodded, their trust in humans solidifying with each passing hour. The Dominion sent a formal message, demanding that the Vilnari be surrendered. Evan responded with a firm refusal, explaining that the Vilnari were innocent and under human protection. The Dominion replied with threats, but no immediate attack occurred. A tense standoff developed, with neither side wanting to make the first move. During the standoff, Laura made a discovery. She found records indicating that the original colony disaster may have been caused by a rogue faction within the Dominion. Their goal had been to frame the Vilnari and justify future expansion. Laura quickly shared her findings with Evan. He realized that this evidence could prevent unnecessary bloodshed, but it had to be presented carefully. Evan decided to send a formal communication to the Dominion High Council, presenting Laura's evidence. He requested an immediate review and warned that any attack on the Vilnari would be considered an act of war against Earth. The Dominion commanders argued among themselves. Some were convinced by the evidence, while others were uncertain and hesitant. The fleet remained in position, tense and ready. Inside the settlement, Vilnari children continued to play, unaware of the full danger outside. Lionel spent her time practicing simple songs, her voice light and clear. Aaron Brooks often joined her, helping with rhythms and lyrics. Their friendship deepened, a symbol of hope amidst uncertainty. Hours passed, and the Dominion finally made a partial retreat. A few ships broke formation, unwilling to continue a fight without full agreement. Evan kept the human fleet alert, but allowed the Vilnari to breathe easier. Selen and the Council quietly thanked the humans, realizing that their protection had saved lives without a single shot being fired. The following days were filled with relief and cautious celebration. Humans and Vilnari worked together to repair minor damage, improve defenses, and expand living spaces. Laura continued documenting evidence to fully clear the Vilnari's name. Lionel and other children explored the station freely, their laughter and joy bringing a lightness that had been absent for too long. Evan met with Selen and other council members. He explained that Earth intended to continue protecting them, helping them build a safe settlement, and teaching them skills to thrive alongside humans. The Vilnari felt a deep sense of gratitude. For the first time in many years, they felt that someone believed in them completely. As the story of the standoff spread, other nearby species began to notice Earth's actions. Whispers of respect and curiosity traveled across the galaxy. Humans had shown that even a small, seemingly fragile species could make a difference. They had stood for justice, chosen to protect the innocent, and refused to bow to fear or intimidation. Life slowly returned to normal on the station. Vilnari and humans shared meals, music, games, and learning. Lionel often led small groups in simple musical exercises, her laughter ringing across halls. Elder Selen observed these moments quietly, her heart filled with hope. The Vilnari began to understand that this place could be their new home, a sanctuary where they were accepted and valued. As night fell, Laura, Evan, and Selen stood together on the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them. Evan spoke softly. "We have a long path ahead, but this is a beginning. We can protect them, learn from them, and show the galaxy that compassion is strength." Selen nodded, understanding that humans were unlike any species they had encountered. Laura added, "We have a chance to build something lasting, something that shows the Vilnari and others that trust can survive fear." They watched quietly as the Vilnari settlement glowed gently below, a beacon of hope in a galaxy that had once turned its back on them. And so, humans and Vilnari worked together, strengthening their bond, preparing for future challenges, and learning that courage was not only about fighting, but also about standing for what is right, even when danger loomed. It was the beginning of a story that neither species would forget, a story of trust, hope, and the quiet but unshakable power of choosing to protect those who cannot protect themselves.